Welcome on into the channel. My name is Atrocious. You can also call me Jake. And today we've got the finals for the Tokyo 2nd Area Wave 1 Championships. Man, that's a mouthful to say. We've got a red purple law mirror, as you know from the title and description. When you clicked on this video, maybe it's your subscription notification or maybe in the recommended section. Appreciate you joining me in this one. In OP08, we've seen the dominance of red purple law being not only the most popular deck in format, so many players playing it, but also one of the more successful decks in the format. Coming into this, 11 of the top 16 went 7 of the top 8, 3 of the top 4, and now is a mirror match in the finals. An excellent showcase in this tournament yet again for this archetype. A lot of suspicion heading into the August 12th ban list, but we're so far away from that. We're over a month from that ban list even coming out at the time of this recording, that we still have much longer of this before OP09 releases. So curious to see how this one goes, especially because I don't think we've seen this player play in the tournament at this stage of the game. So could be something more of a unique list. We saw a really unique red purple law list playing Khalifas and Porsches in their deck and making it, I believe, into top 8 with a list like that. Has a lot of qualities that you really like to see when you're trying to find kind of spicier cards in your list. But before we get into too much further in this, I do want to let you all know that I am watching the official broadcast. I'm just doing my own unofficial commentary practice as a commentator to hopefully maybe someday get on the big stage. So if you want to watch the actual stream, you want to watch the actual video from the official live stream, feel free to look at the link in the description below. I've got that there for you if you want to check it out, and you should go check it out anyways and give it a like, because they do a great job on these, and it's really nice because they give such good video quality in the production and stuff that really gives me a efficient view into practicing my broadcasting, right, into practicing my commentary. So hopefully you enjoy this, but let's look at their hands. And so player on the left going first got a little bit of good stuff in this hand. I feel like you got a Black Maria, a great card that we've seen in this deck. Reiju, one of the difference makers in games for a lot of these red purple laws to be able to draw cards. You got a Pudding in there as well, putting another really good card, Kid and Killer, and Sanji in this. We haven't seen too much Sanji in this tournament in terms of being played, but still a very good card. The player on the right does have a raise max, so is going to be able to bottom deck any 5,000 power or less characters that come on the field pretty easily. You've got a Kid Killer, you've got another 4-drop in the blocker Trafalgar Law, and then also a Reiju to be able to draw cards, which will be really nice. The 5-drop uses Captain Kid, could be good for using leader effect and getting Dawn back, especially Dawn as active, but we'll see if he decides to put that down in this game. Player on the left going first, as I mentioned, looking to get this one started. Love the sleeves on the left side as well. I think there's a beautiful set of sleeves. I know if you participated in the store championships, and I think it was top 8 got a set of these sleeves in the July store championships out here in the West. So congratulations if you won. It may be top 4. No, is it top 4? No, I think it's top 8 because top 4 got an invite to nationals. But anyways, enough with the distractions. Let's get into the game. Player on the left just doing a Dawn and pass, not putting anything down. Player on the right side top taking another Kid Killer, so 2 Kid Killers in hand, going to be good for trying to put a lot of pressure on characters on the field or swings at life, but just going to be a pass, not really a 2-Dawn play either. The Otama, you love to see the Otama in this, but going to be swinging 5 right now, going to be swinging at life, going to be taking that one, no trigger, Asachi Penguin, and so resting 3, maybe eyeing up the Black Maria. Black Maria going to be a very good card and using leader effect to play down that Reiju. Since you've got 5 cards in hand after playing that Reiju, or 4 cards, I'm sorry, you're going to be able to draw 2 because on that leader effect you'll be down on Dawn. And so with that, Black Maria effect is going to be able to get you back up to equal on your opponent. And we're starting to see the strength of this Black Maria, especially early in the game. Even though it is probably going to be bottom decked on this turn, potentially it is going to be a good value already in this game after the player on the right top decks a queen. It's going to be really nice because you establish a little bit of draw, you establish another body on board, and really makes your opponent think, okay, do I want to get rid of the Reiju or do I want to get rid of the Black Maria? Either way, I think you're pretty happy with the result. And so off of that swing, going to be pitching the Sanji in hand, not wanting to pitch any of the other cards, and going to be hard playing that Trafalgar Law. And so after using leader effect and bottom decking that Black Maria, is going to be playing down a Sachi Penguin. That Sachi Penguin is going to be able to get 2 Dawn back to put you back up to 3. And although it's honestly kind of better than Black Maria in my opinion, even though they don't have one in hand they couldn't play down, it's honestly better because Sachi and Penguin allows you to get back to 3 Dawn, whereas Black Maria would only allow you at the end of the turn to be at 2 Dawn because your player on the left was only at 2 Dawn. So excellent stuff going on for the player on the right as well. And so after getting that queen right there, only has 4 Dawn to work with right now. And so if they want to get rid of one of these characters, gonna have to play the Otama or the Gordon and use leader effects. So starting out with a 5k swing right here at life, a couple non-countered cards in the player on the right's hand with the Kid Killers and the Raise Max. Maybe thinking about pitching the Queen or maybe the Eustace Captain Kid. I think if you pitch a card, it should be this Eustace Captain Kid as they're doing, because the Queen allows you to draw on your next turn. So gets a little bit more value, I think, in some situations. This other 5k swing from lead is going to be taking life of Beppo. Beppo we've seen on and off in these decks, but the Gordon or Otama, I'm sorry, and Pudding combo going to be using the rest of the Dawn, minusing the power on that blocker law right there, and then off of the leader effect playing a Sachi Penguins, or I'm sorry, Kid Killer. The Kid Killer is going to get a 7,000 power swing at life, putting a lot of pressure on this player on the right, and the Pudding getting another Dawn is going to keep them at 2. So after passing the turn and drawing now at 5 Dawn, like I mentioned, really nice utilizing that Otama, because especially if like a queen comes down right on this upcoming turn, we'll be able to get rid of it with the Gordon. So on this 5k swing right here, going to be battling that Kid Killer. Could counter out of this one or maybe just let it go. Really trying to value. You're going to be at 4 Dawn in the next turn. So I think if you were going to pitch a card in trying to attempt to save this, I think the Queen is your best option right here, because this could be a quick game. You could maybe try to go for game in the next turn. It all depends on how many cards they have in hand. The player on the right does have a lot of cards in hand, definitely has card advantage, so it would be something that may be ill-advised if you go for game in the next turn. Thought about swinging 5 with the Sachi Penguin, opted for no. Going to be at 5 Dawn. We'll see what they decide to do. And are they attaching? They're attaching one of the Dawn to the Sachi Penguin. Being a 6k swing is going to be able to get that KO. And with the with 3 Dawn, going to be a Rush Zoro in here. So the Rush Zoro going to be competing with the Reiju right now. And so with 1 Dawn left, maybe thinking about using the Raise Max on the Pudding to be able to bottom deck the Pudding, getting rid of all the characters on this turn, but also really just minimizing their hand in general, kind of starving them at this point. And so using that 1k counter on the Trafalgar Law, probably now going to be bottom decking this Reiju if they want. So going to be minusing power, just trying to think about whether or not they want to do the Reiju or the Pudding. Going to be that Reiju right there, and then with the leader effect is going to be playing down a card. It could be this Reiju that's in their hand. It looks like they have 2 Reijus right now, and so since you're behind on Dawn, playing down a Reiju would have you 5 cards in hand, so you would continue your advantage on the draw. You would have plenty of cards in hand. I think getting a 2k Sanji as well, so maybe not even worried about the life. And is that a Porsche in hand? I think I see there's a 4-drop right next to the Sanji. I can't exactly, oh, it's a Trafalgar Law toy promo right there. So not a Porsche. My apologies on that, misspoke. But 3 Dawn now on the left side. The player on the right has plenty of cards in hand, so could play this Law. I'm sorry, they had 4 Dawn, and so getting that Law effect right now, going to be getting 2 cards. It's going to be a little tough, I feel like, in a couple situations, but is at least going to be getting some of their card advantage and getting those 2 cards on the side. Going to be a Kid Killer and a Sanji, so 2 good cards, I feel like, about as good as you could have hoped for in this, especially that Kid and Killer. So going to be swinging 5, I think, maybe at Zoro right now, and either way, wherever they swing at, it's going to be a counter of a Queen. And so it looks like passing off the turn, not using leader effect to bottom deck anything right there, and going into the next turn. Going to be at 4 Dawn now for the player on the right side, top decking a Pudding, which is nice. Pudding is going to be able to get you some value. You've got some power minus on the Trafalgar Law promo, so could go ahead and bottom deck the blocker Trafalgar Law right now if you wanted to. You might be able to even go ahead and do some damage, and so taking that swing right now on there, not opting for the block, probably just going to be swinging out, and the Trafalgar Law on the left side just going to be building the hand on this. Now add 2 life. A Kid and Killer is active for some extra power, and so we could see a Trafalgar Law toy promo play go down, and then maybe leader effect into Reiju or leader effect into Kid Killer, one of those 2 options. So now, after taking 2 life right here, I wouldn't mind, before you do any of the other swings, I wouldn't mind going ahead and playing the Trafalgar Law promo, getting rid of that blocker right there, so then they don't get any value really on that block at all. So going to be playing that down, going to be minusing that guy right there, using leader effect to bottom deck and get another character on field. It looks like it's going to be a Reiju doing a little bit of draw, maybe thinking about, you know, there is a world where I could potentially lose on this play. I don't have any blockers on field and only 1 life. There is a full reason to believe that a leader swing, maybe attaching some Dawn and swinging with the Pudding, and then a Kid Killer could be the end of me. So opting for the draw instead, just being a little bit patient, realizing that they have board control, and not swinging with the Zoro or Sachi Penguin. So interesting, not giving them card advantage anymore, saying, you know what, I think I could probably hit game next turn. I would rather not give you any more opportunities to find something like a Kid Killer to be able to really just start swiping at me and give you as the least amount of cards as possible to work with in this turn. And so now at 5 for the player on the left, thinking about the toy promo Law right here, maybe eyeing up a play where you minus the power on the Reiju, swing into it with some of your cards, and then use the Gordon to minus another character to then bottom deck and play something on the field. But playing something on the field could be tough because you have such few cards in hand, and with your other cards that you would play being like counter Sachi and Penguin, a 2k counter that would get you some Dawn, or maybe the Charlotte Pudding, I believe, is that other card in hand, which has a 1k counter in itself and does not get value after the play effect of the Law. Does not get that activate, or I'm sorry, does not get that your turn once per turn on the Dawn minusing to get arrested Dawn back. So really a tricky spot for this player on the left. The player on the right doing a great job with not only board control but also board presence in this game. So going to be thinking about too, maybe thinking about swinging with characters instead. So attaching 2 Dawn to the Trafalgar Law, going to be swinging 7, going to be swinging it, I think, at lead. So maybe trying to eye up an opportunity to go for game. Just going to be swinging 7 right here, trying to see what they've got in hand. They would be able to counter out of this swing right here, getting all their life, but I think with the swings that are left, maybe thinking that they could do it. And so only 9,000 power total in terms of counters. So if you were to hypothetically attach all the Dawn and swing with the Pudding, right, that would be a 7,000 power swing. They'd have to pitch a ton of cards. You could literally win with a Kid Killer. And so I would love to know off of this play if there was a Kid Killer in life. Would be a very heads up play from the player on the right to not allow any more opportunities. And so going to be playing this Gordon right here. This Gordon is going to be minusing a power potentially on one of these characters. Is going to minus the Zoro being the option to bottom deck. And so on that leader effect, going to be bottom decking that card, playing that toy promo, minusing the Reiju. And so with getting that Dawn back, just going to be attaching the 2 Dawn and swinging 6,000 power at a 3,000 power Reiju. And so I think now the opponent trying to think, do I pitch all of these cards right now? No leader effect can be played for a Kid Killer, and I'm going to keep this card alive, pitching 4 1Ks to get up to 7,000. So passing off the turn, looks like advantage coming to the player on the right. Going to be drawing a card, especially with a Kid Killer in hand, and 3 Dawn. Going to be swinging 5, going to be catching a Pudding potentially on this one. Going to get that card, another 5 coming in, potentially a 6 right now with the Reiju. Going to be a 6, going to be taking that life, it looks like, not using that Sachi Penguin yet. Going to be a Gordon, going to pretty much seal the deal. Not enough counter right here. This 6K swing going to be coming in with a Sachi Penguin counter, not going down to 0 just yet, but maybe thinking about taking this. There's not really a card that can help you in surviving this game, and a Raise Max, the final 2 life being a Gordon and a Raise Max, is going to fall in this one. Player on the right coming up with the win in the mirror match. An excellent showcase and an excellent job as well, I feel like, from the player on the right, just being a little bit more patient, being aggressive and playing down a ton of characters, but like I mentioned, being patient in trying to hold the game, trying to really, I think in my opinion, got lucky that there was no Kid Killers in that final hand. So maybe recognizing that, okay, no matter what, I think if they play a Kid Killer down, I'm in trouble. So really being patient and not allowing them to potentially find that card, even though in hindsight we knew there wasn't a card in life. You can't just assume that there's not a Kid Killer in life. And so taking a look at what I would consider to be a typical red purple law list, it's not the official list from the event. We don't have that available, but I would assume that this is probably like 48, 49 cards of the exact same thing. Not too many options when you see a couple different things. We know that they were playing some toy promo laws in the list. We know that they were playing at least one Zoro in the list, especially for the winner. So this is probably pretty much the same as what we saw. Pretty much the same skeleton as you've seen in the last like 30 videos, it feels like, on this channel. The entire OP08 format has felt like I have shown the same exact red purple law list in every single video. Some other spices like we saw earlier in this tournament, but the tried and true winning on this one. You've got the Black Maria and Pudding staples in OP08, excellent additions in the deck. And then as well, for a selection of 2K characters to get to 16 2Ks in this deck, is the Sanjis, the Sachi Penguins, and the Otamas. You've got several different power minusing effects alongside the Otamas in the Raise Max and the Gordons, as well as the Trafalgar laws, to be able to bottom deck different cards and be able to play these characters down, like Reiju, like the Trafalgar Law blocker, which we saw got some value in there. Some other previous cards that I mentioned in the Pudding and Black Maria, as well as Kid Killer, one of the more important cards in the deck, just providing so much pressure on your opponent, but not as much value as the Reiju. I feel like especially in the mirror match, the player that has Reijus is the player that wins the game. Reiju being so good, being able to draw cards, especially on that equal or less than Dawn on the field to your opponent, especially with the combination of Black Maria, gives you a flexibility of playing it when you're at equal Dawn or when you're at less Dawn, either hard playing it, hard casting it on the field, or maybe using leader effect to bring it on. So excellent showcase in this tournament. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you joining me in this video. I know most people are not super excited anymore to see red purple law mirrors because we've seen a ton of those already, and it feels like it's flooding OP08 in a sense. A lot of people can't really wait until the August 12th date. I'm a little bit like, I'm not sure. I haven't actually played in the format, and I've just seen these like top high level events really in OP08, aside from like a couple Japanese YouTubers that I watch that do like a whole bunch of different decks, even decks that aren't really meta, you know, showcasing matches and play styles and lists for those. I watch a ton of those. So thank you again so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed this one. I've got a couple locals videos that I'm trying to put out after this tournament to keep up kind of like daily uploads, but I am, if you can't tell, like there's nothing behind here. I am moving into a new house, so I don't have Wi-Fi yet in that house, so it can be a little bit difficult to get some things done that I want to do. So especially, is there another tournament coming up soon? Especially with the Hokkaido Championships coming up on July 15th. I'm not 100% sure I'll be able to get those out right away just because of internet, and I'm actually flying back to Kentucky that weekend to get the cats to bring to Las Vegas. So I'm gonna be a little bit busy, so the videos might be a little bit delayed, but I promise we'll get you those videos as always. Thank you again so much for watching. Thank you so much for your support, and hope to see you in the next one.